People are more scared of success than they are of failure. Now, these are wise words that my mentor used to tell me on a consistent basis, that as a young teenage man, you can't really fully grasp, right? Because you haven't lived enough life. And there's something I'm starting to realize as I grow in my success. And that thing is, people are more scared of being successful than they are of being a failure. Now, as you think about that for a second, you're like me as a teenage kid, right? You're like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I figured people will be more afraid of failure because, you got to put yourself out there and you don't want to be humiliated and you don't want to be made fun of and all types of different other things, right? But that's wrong. And the reason why it's wrong is because there's something else going on that we need to address in this video, right? That's not talked about enough, that I think will help you in your life become a better person and possibly change the trajectory of your life, right? Now, before we get too far into the video, I just want to remind you guys, hit the like button, comment your thoughts, subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to support the channel, all the ways you can do that are in the description below, right? Now, what am I talking about when I say people are more scared of success than they are of failure? See, what's really going on beneath the surface is their thinking. They're self-sabotaging because of their thinking, right? So depending on where you grew up, the people that you were around, it cultivates this mind state. Now, what are some examples of this, right? So you got poverty thinking, right? You grew up in a household where people were like, man, you grow up with sustaining poverty, right? So let's think about this, for example. You have something wrong with the car, but instead of buying the car, you work around the problem, right? So if there's something wrong with your shoes, you don't fix your shoes and buy some new ones. You just patch it up. Why? Because you don't have the money to actually go fix it, right? Because this happens in every aspect of your life. This is poverty thinking, whether you want to believe it or not, right? You're used to losing. Anything can become a habit. Winning is a habit, just like losing is a habit. And this is the deep part. You're so used to being in poverty to where you can't afford stuff, to where you just tolerate, your floor being messed up. And you just put a rug over the top of it because you can't really afford to fix it, right? You've been in these circumstances for so long that it's become a habit. And if it becomes a habit, it penetrates and goes into your subconscious. Now, it's very hard to change your subconscious, but it can be done. This is poverty and used to losing over years of time, right? You're like that baby elephant that had a noose or a rope tied around its neck, right? That was trying to pull away from the noose out of the ground, but you couldn't move it, right? So you're a fully grown elephant that could easily pull the noose out of the ground, pull the rope out of the ground, pull the stake out of the ground. But since you were wrestling with it as a young elephant and you couldn't conquer it, you've accepted the fact that this is your state. That's why as a grown elephant, you don't try. This is why as a grown adult, you don't try to do better. Matter of fact, you can't even recognize better. Which leads me to the next thing. People that have this type of thinking hesitate when they see opportunities, right? And the reason why they hesitate when they see opportunities is because they don't really fully trust it. They don't fully believe it, right? This is why it's so dangerous to live in poverty, because you're creating a cycle of a mindset that's being passed down to your children that's hard to break. And if you guys think I'm lying, look at Moses and the Hebrews. Years to get them out. And the reason why it took them years is because of their thinking. They were self-saboteurs of their own lives. So high standards tend to intimidate people. And this is the stage at where I'm starting to see this eye for eye, right? Now, what are some situations to where your high standards intimidate people, right? Well, first of all, the poverty, the low thinking people that can't defeat this mindset, that have accepted their plight in life, this mindset draws haters. It draws haters because they're looking at a person that defeated their odds, and they're mad at themselves because they couldn't beat the odds themselves. So they have to throw their hate onto you. What are some other ways that people with high standards run people away? Look at your relationships. See, a person that's not used to succeeding at anything in life, they'll be in a good relationship for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And that stableness, that comfortability frightens them because they're so used to having dysfunctional relationships. And so they start doing things to self-sabotage the entire thing. That's right. Some of you guys were in relationships with women. And because your standards were so high, you were so demanding of her in her eyes, that she couldn't take it. And so she literally blew up the relationship, not because you were a bad person, not because you were broke, but because she has a defeatist mind state. And it frightens her that you are a good person because she's not used to dealing with good people. So she doesn't really fully believe it. She's used to dealing with losers, and that has penetrated into her subconscious, and she cannot change it. Or she doesn't want to change it. And you're sitting there puzzled, wondering, why would you blow up a good situation? It's because she's not used to good relationships. She has a low thinking, low frequency mind state. You see this in athletes. Talented people will mess up good opportunities. Why? Because they're self-sabotaging. They have a defeatist mind state. They come from poverty thinking. They're used to losing. They're not used to doing well. I know some athletes that had an opportunity at my school. You know, they had an opportunity to play A&M football. Got kicked out. Right? Now, as a logically thinking person, you would think that that one thing would cause you to fix it. They go to another school and get kicked out of those schools. So the common denominator is them and how they think when it comes to their opportunities. And because they can't recognize the opportunity for what it is, they self-sabotage the opportunity, destroy it. And these are the same people that will come back 5-10 years later down the road and say, hey, I didn't make it because of this and that. And they'll play the victim. No, the reason why they didn't succeed in life is because they didn't change their thinking. They didn't recognize the opportunity. They did not recognize how important it was. At that moment in life, they couldn't pinpoint and penetrate and capitalize on the opportunity that they had. Now, how do you fix this, Miles? What do you do to fix this, right? We've talked about it, but how do you fix this? I only see a couple ways of you fixing this, right? And this is some things that I've done in my own personal life. You have to change your environment. I was listening to a Slim Thug song this morning, right? And he had a song called Church, Chuuch, right? And he had Joel Osteen on the intro. And he was saying, you have to change your environment of people. You can't be an eagle. And you can't, this is basically what he was saying, right? If you want to be successful, you can't hang with the chickens and expect to soar with the eagles. You have to be a part of the eagles, hang around the eagles in order to soar like them, in order to think like them, in order to be successful like them, to take actions, to be able to understand, to get that defeatist mindset out of your head, to understand good opportunities, know what to do once you get inside the opportunities, right? You have to get around people that are successful. You have to change your environment, right? And you have to. There's no other way around it, right? If you do not change your environment, you will not be successful. That is a given, right? And it's a given because of what I broke down earlier in the video, right? If you're used to having a poverty environment, if you're used to losing, you have a habit now. Habits are hard to change. So you need to form good habits. And if you have that bad poverty thinking habit, that loser mindset, just recognize whenever you change your environment, it's going to be very uncomfortable to you at first. But you have to stay the course if you want to be successful. There's no other way around it. The next thing, you have to take more chances, right? And once you take more chances, you start to see good opportunities. You start to see bad opportunities, right? Just like in the Matrix, Neo was like, why do my eyes hurt? And Morpheus was like, because you've never used it. That's my video. You guys like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you like the video. Support the channel if you like what I believe in. If you like what I believe in, if you like my content, please consider supporting the channel. All the ways you can do that are in the description below. I appreciate you guys watching to the end. You guys have a good day, a good week, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.